Hey guys, I want to go ahead and talk about how to graph some of these sine and cosine functions with a shift. And what I started here is, this is our function here, negative 3 sine of x minus pi over 2 with a minus 2. So what we just want to start off with is the parent function. That's always your key factor. And you want to start graphing it. These are your coordinate points here. These are the coordinate points from your unit circle, remember. Okay, so if you draw your unit circle, and this point is 1 comma 0, this point is negative 1 comma 0, this point is 0 1, and this point is 0 negative 1. And remember, cosine represents the x value, sine represents the y value, so that's why we go from 0 to 1 to 0, back to negative 1, and then back to 0. And that's this pattern you see here. Okay, and you start off with 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and of course 2 pi. So this is what you want to start with. Now the first thing, the easiest thing, is the amplitude. If you notice here, the amplitude is 3. Now it has a negative, but a lot of times your professors, if they use the letter A for amplitude, they ask you to take the absolute value of it, and all that means is you're gonna stretch the graph vertically, okay, up to 3 and down to negative 3. So if you notice, these are the only points that I stretch. These other anchor points remain the same. So that's the easiest part to get started with. Now after that, you want to go ahead and shift it. Now remember, the inside part here moves it left and right, and this guy here on the outside, your k, moves it up and down. Okay, so normally you have y equals a sine of x plus h plus some k constant out on the outside. So this guy's going to move it sideways, this guy's going to move the graph up and down. So whatever you have inside here, you want to set it equal to 0. Now this one comes out to be easy. X equals pi over 2, that means you're just going to move it pi over 2 units to the right. If there was some type of number here in the front, you would do the same thing and you would get your same value. But we'll talk about those types in a future video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to the right pi over 2 and then down 2 units. So these points are very important. So I'm going to move this guy, okay, and I'll do it in purple. So pi over 2 to the right, and then I'm going to move that point 2 units down. So to the right and 2 units down, so it's going to be right here. So I took this point right here and I moved it to the right, down 2. Now I go to the next point. Now I'm not going to use this guy, I'm going to use the new point that I stretched out from the amplitude. So this guy's going to go pi over 2 units right here, and then he's going to go down 2. So I'm going to take him down and move him down 2 units right there. So pi over 2, and then do move 1, and looks like this guy's going to be way down here. And then my last one right here, okay, pi over 2 units. Now where would that be? Well, think about counting. 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, 4 pi over 2. The next one is going to be 5 pi over 2. And if you want to continue, it'll be 6 pi over 2, 7 pi over 2. Makes it easy. And then, so pi over 2, and we're going to move it 2 units down. 1, 2, right about here. And there's my new graph. So I'm going to just connect it here, nice and neat. Careful. Now I'm using it various colors. Some students don't like to do that, and that's okay. But you can tell how the graph, it got stretched. Now we shift it to the right and down. Okay, the last thing we got to do is we got to take care of this negative. Alright, we got to take care of that negative. What does that negative do? That means it's going to reflect it about the x-axis. It's going to flip it. Students say it's flip. Actually, it's called reflected. So we're going to flip it. Okay. Now, what you want to do is you want to take a look at the midline, the middle point right here. Okay, this guy has a midline right here. Okay, and you know what I'll do is, let me take my highlighter here just to vary it. Here's the midline right here. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to flip this guy. This top peak is actually going to go down, and this bottom is going to be up. Well, how do you know where it's located? Well, all you got to do is measure this distance here, which we call the amplitude. So it looks like from here, this dot here to the midline looks like it's 1, 2, and 3 units. So down from the midline is going to be 3 units. So 1, 2, 3 units right here. Here it is. Now these anchor points here are going to stay. And then this guy here, well, if the amplitude is 3, it's still going to be 3 units. So from here is going to be 1, and then 2, and then 3 right here. And you guys could probably already see how it's being done. Okay, so let me go ahead and bold it. I don't have another color, so this guy's going to be down here. And then it's going to go up to that guy, up here, come back down, and there it is. So this graph right here is your function, your final result of graphing. All right, guys. Now, if you want to go ahead and check it, you could actually plug in a point and figure it out. So, for example, right here, pi over 2, this is -2 right here. So this guy here is pi over 2, and the coordinate is -2. So if we go ahead and plug it in, you can see, well, pi over 2 minus pi over 2 is 0. Well, what's sine of 0? Well, if we look at our unit circle, well, sine of 0 is 0. 0 times -3 is 0, minus 2, that gives us a -2. All right, so let's go ahead and try to do one more. We'll do a cosine here real quick. We'll try to make it simple. And we're going to say y equals 2 cosine of, let's go ahead and let's make it a little bit different, x plus, let's do pi over 4. Okay, let's move it up this time. Let's do plus 1. Okay, so what do we start with first? We start with our parent function. Cosine starts at 1, -1. So we start here, and we start at pi over 2, and then we go to pi, 1, 2, 3, and then we go to 3 pi over 2, and then 1, 2, 3, and then we go to 4 pi over 2 or 2 pi, and then we start at 1, goes down to 0, down to -1, up to 0 again, and up to +1. And this actually continues over here, so you can actually see it. But one cycle is between 0 and 2 pi, so it looks like a little cup. Okay, and if you want to continue it this way, that's fine. First thing is the amplitude. That means it's going to go up to 2. So instead of being here, it's going to be up here. And instead of being at -1, it's going to go down to -2. Okay, and so if you want, you can stretch it out here. Goes down, goes steeper, goes up. And if you notice, I have another one here that I didn't do, up to 2. So it's only our peaks that go up. Okay. All right, so you see how that stretches out. Now, this guy right here, and actually that's a plus, so x plus pi over 4, well, we set that equal to 0, and that's going to equal -pi over 4. That means this guy's going to shift to the left, and it's going to move up 1 unit. Okay, now I probably didn't give myself some room, but that's okay. Now if you notice, if this is pi over 2 over here, and it's also going to be pi over 2 over here, so 1, 2, 3, that would be -pi over 2, and then it continues. Now, we have a problem though. See, this is pi over 4, and we have pi over 2's here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these guys here the same denominator, so I can have a reflected the pi over 4. So whatever it is, instead of pi over 4 here, instead of pi over 2 here, guys, well, pi over 2 is what? Well, that's 2 pi over 4. So this becomes 2 pi over 4. Well, what's pi? Well, that one is 4 pi over 4. Well, what's 3? Well, multiply this guy by 2. Multiply this guy by 2, you're going to get 6 pi over 4. What about this guy? Well, you multiply the top and the bottom by 2, you're going to get 8 pi over 4. What about this guy? Well, same thing over here, negative 2 pi over 4. So now I have a reference, okay? It's like almost like if I'm zooming in, now I have denominators of 4, and now this makes a lot more sense. So if I'm going to move each point negative pi over 4, and I know this is 2 pi over 4, I'm going to go halfways. So let me take each point over here. So this guy over here, I'm going to move him left, and I'm also going to move him up 1 unit. So this guy, and I'm off a little bit because there's 3 units. But here, that's negative 2 pi over 4, so I'm going to go about here, and then I'm going to go up. Right there. And actually, you know what? I made a mistake, didn't I? It's actually supposed to be this point here. 1 here, and we're going to go up right there. Okay? Take that guy out. Okay, now we got this point right here. We move on pi over 4 to the left, right here, and then we go up 1 unit right there. Right here. Same thing, now we go to this guy right here in the bottom. Move 1 pi over 4 to the left, and go up 1 unit right about there. Next anchor point right here, pi over 4 to the left, and then move up 1 unit. Finally, this red one here, pi over 4 to the left, and up 1 unit. It's going to be right about there. Okay? And this guy's going to look, connect them here, and it's going to go up and there. Okay? And there it is.